So I wanted to tell today how synthesis sells, because there was a guy called Georg Hegel who created the idea that there is always, in our word, thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. So transferring it to our media world, it can mean that actually there is a trend, and then anti-trend, and then something in between. So for example, we were all believing that fast food, efficiency, all about fast living is the most important, and everyone was crazy about productivity. Nowadays, we are more about slow food, slow life, and completely opposite trend. The same about technology dependency, so measuring how many steps we have taken, what is our heart rate, and so on. Right now, it's more, there is an anti-trend, completely opposite of nature lovers and people who want to spend much more time in outdoor. The same was with corporate life and digital nomads, and have, what does it mean to have or to be. And even nowadays we talk about men and women, that there was a word dominated by men, and now we are talking a lot about empowerment of women, and probably we'll finish with gender agnostic approach. So how we can transfer it to brands and influencer marketing. So there was a communication before that about product. Now we talk more about ideas. There was more to be said by brands, and right now there was also a trend that everyone prefers audience to talk about brand, not only brand itself. The same was with celebrities, that, for example, George Clooney was an ambassador of Nespresso or Omega, and then brands turned to real people, wanted real people to talk about them. And what we believe is in the middle, so what is the synthesis, is influencer marketing and influencers. And what I personally believe, that they're not the biggest influencers, the biggest stars who became celebrities, and they're also not real people in the meaning that they're super micro influencers posting accidental stuff. They're more mid-tier influencers. And the content is not too professional. It's professional enough, but stays very authentic. Also, the way they show it is not a fairy tale that is shown by many brands, but it's more like real naturalism. So still authentic, but beautiful enough to be engaging. This is how we perceive influencers. So celebrities, digital stars, and in our opinion, the biggest power is here with mid-tier influencers and power users, so people who have over 10,000 followers. And we as IndaHash, we also allow to be the part of the platform only people who have higher engagement rate than the rest. And this is how we define influencer itself. Here we checked on the British market that the bigger the influencer is, the lower the engagement rate. These are the numbers from our inventory and our research. So usually the sweet spot is over 5K, because still the content is very engaging, is quality enough, and stays very authentic and beautiful for the brand. Here's the research we have done on over a few thousand of influencers in our inventory, how they perceive themselves. And 64% of them, they believe this is their profession. So being influencer is their profession, and they spend a lot of time preparing content. There is another research saying that many of them are taking more than 10 photos or videos before posting one of them. And another number that can be interesting is that majority, over 50%, almost doesn't watch TV. And I wanted to ask you, here is the content from our campaign and brand's content, which is coming from brand, which for influencers. So is this coming from brand or influencer? Brand? Yeah, exactly. This is from brand, this is from influencer. And you can see the differentiation in terms of engagement rates and also the quality of the content. The same here, which is coming from brand. This one or that one? First one, brand? Yep. First one is influencer, another one is brand. Okay, first one, brand? Yes or no? Yes? Yes. Another one, influencer. But still, you can see that the content is qualitative enough. And this is the last one, brand or influencer? No? This is influencer and this is brand. Yes, exactly. Something about IndaHash, so the company that I co-founded almost 3 years ago. We connect via platform and app influencers with brands, and right now we are covering 70 markets and having over 10 offices right now globally. We have over 600,000 influencers, and we have run over 1,000 campaigns, 1,500 campaigns, but most only for big media agencies, big agencies, and big brands. We don't work right now with SMB at all. Besides numbers, we believe more in creating empathy in the business, so in creating a true connection between brands and influencers via their content. And here's how does it work exactly. So there is an app, influencer downloads the app, they rate per post, and they see available campaigns. If they want, they can submit, they want to take part in a campaign, and then they can be approved or denied. This is also how it looks in terms of dashboard. So client receives proposal of content and also proposal of influencers, so kind of whitelist, they can accept or reject it, and then they receive content, they can accept, reject, or revise the content. Here is how does it work exactly with revision, because there can be content itself or just the caption to be revised. And then client receives the content, influencer posts that. We operate on 3 platforms right now. So it's Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, and on some markets, Twitter too. Here are some case studies. So here's, for example, the campaign we have done for Coca-Cola. We're showing the special moments from influencers. Here's the content from McDonald's, and it was a specific format because influencer had to download content from the brand and combine it with their photos. Here's one of the beauty campaigns, so half of the face is without makeup, half is with makeup. And also 96 influencers. This is why we love technology. It's almost impossible to coordinate within a few days 96 influencers manually because it's very, very time consuming. In our case, agreement is automated, rate per post is automated, so besides picking up influencers and the content, everything else is fully automated. Another campaign for Gap, for parents, and then client receives content for 10 years, so they can reuse the content in the ads. Right now, also a few months ago, Instagram introduced shoppable links. So especially because of this feature, it's very useful for brands to reuse the content and add links. It's not available on all the markets, but right now, as far as I remember, on 16 markets. And we also have a strategic partnership with Digital Outdoor, so sometimes content from influencers is also displayed on Digital Outdoor. And just to sum up, as the company, we were doing our own ICO, so we have introduced our own cryptocurrency and our own tokens, and how we did it. So we also used influencers, of course different influencers than majority of our clients because they were talking about cryptocurrencies. And we were having over 100 channels, YouTube channels engaged in this communication, and because of that, we were having 19,000 ICO participants. Thanks to that, we have raised over $40 million, and we were able to track each Ether, because we were raising in Ethereum, each Ether coming to us, and 74% of Ethers were coming from influencers or referral program. Only the rest was coming from other communication activities. So also for ourselves, our main communication were influencers, and this was also the success of our ICO that we finished at the end of last year. Okay, so that's all.
Perfect. Does anyone have any questions for Barbara? Any questions? No?
What are the main asks from the clients as far as results and how to generate ROI based on your clients? What do they mainly ask you guys?
Depends on the industry, but for example, when we were having campaign for one very famous app, they were asking, they wanted influencers to put a codes, and they were tracking what was the return from each code. So this was very easy for them to measure. Some of the clients, for example, we do a lot of content for contests, and many of the clients are measuring submissions after that, coming from influencers. The point is that many campaigns are happening on Instagram. On Instagram, you don't have links. The only way you can put a link is in bio, besides ads, of course, in influencer marketing. So this is the only way you can track link itself. So when there is brand awareness campaign, then it's much more difficult, but we are having more and more clients who are who are measuring codes and tracking codes, actually. And it works really well. Many of them, they increase a lot of budgets, and I'm also a big fan of codes, because it can give you insight which influencer is performing best for you.
Hi, yes, I was going to ask if you're paying your influencers in cash or coin, or both.
Right now, both. So last month, in April, we have launched tokens in our app. So our tokens, so influencer can choose if they prefer to be paid in fiat or in our tokens. In our tokens, they receive 20% more. So it's very incentivizing for them. Yeah, so they can choose. And it doesn't matter if client pays in tokens or in fiat, because majority of the clients still pay in fiat because we work with big brands.
Any more questions? No? Okay, well, I think that's a wrap. Thank you very much, Barbara.
Thank you.